One of the things I've always enjoyed the most is sitting around and listening to veteran sports writers and getting their take on their experiences, the games they've covered, etc., and their perspective on the sport that they live with 365 days a year. Yes, I live with this in every single sport and every single day, 365 days a year in terms of a gambling perspective, but it's different when you're a reporter. And I told you before, I spent 8 years as a reporter, and I'll never forget my very first job. Actually, it started as an internship in college and continued on. I was lucky enough to cover the Philadelphia 76ers and the Philadelphia Flyers. And back in those days, now we're talking the 80s, we're talking before the internet, before Twitter, before Facebook, etc. Social media was just a little dream that nobody had even dreamed of yet. Reporters basically, before the game, did nothing. You didn't have to. You had your morning shoot arounds. Occasionally, you would have your afternoon skates. But really, the highlight was going to whatever venue you were at and going for the pregame buffet. And listen, I was no dummy. I was there too. But I was definitely the youngest guy in the room, okay? So, inevitably, at the Spectrum in Philadelphia, which is where the Philadelphia Flyers and the 76ers played at the time, you'd have everybody kind of congregating. The games would start at 7 o'clock. By 5:15, everybody was rolling into the pregame food spread, okay? And that's where I learned more about sports than any place else. Listening to these guys talk. And believe me, as the youngest guy in the room and a guy who had not been around any blocks yet, I kept my mouth shut. I listened, I observed. And it continued. A few years ago, I was doing Sportsnet New York as a football analyst every Friday up in New York City. And it was really cool because the show was sponsored by the New York Daily News. So every single week throughout the football season, all the top writers from the New York Daily News would be in there. And sure, I could certainly hold my own with the conversation. I have my own opinions. I've been around many blocks at this point. But again, it was always fascinating getting their take. One thing that I always heard through the years is the phrase coach killer. And you saw two examples of what a coach killer is here in the last 24 hours. One is when your team loses a game that's just simply inexcusable. And that is the case that applies with the Orlando Magic last night. How do you lose to the Philadelphia 76ers? 76ers team who half their team should be playing in like the developmental league, who only had 9 healthy players last night, and you're the Orlando Magic playing at home, and you've got some talent on your roster, and you lose to the 76ers who had won 2 games so far this season. You lose. Jacque Vaughn, if I'm you, I'm worried. I've got to be worried today. And then, of course, you have the other type of coach killer, and that's that petulant player. Like that alliteration? I thought you would. And that's Josh Smith. Listen, Josh Smith, when the Detroit Pistons are willing to pay you $26.5 million over the next 2 years just to go away, just to get out of their hair, just to get out of their locker room, you're a coach killer. But listen, it's not Stan Van Gundy's fault that he couldn't get along with Josh Smith. Although, come on, didn't we know the minute Stan Van Gundy was hired as Pistons coach that this exodus was going to happen one time or another, sooner or later, and it was happened to be sooner. Joe Dumars, one of the worst general managers probably in the NBA in the past 20 years, he was the one that ridiculously gave the money to Smith, all the big money to play out of position on a team where they weren't built to be a contender anyway. And you can't blame Josh Smith. Listen, any of you out there, you're waving $85 million in front of your nose. You're going to go, so, where can I sign? Thank you. Where can I sign? I got to play out of position. Where can I sign? 85 million. Give me the money. I mean, that's how it goes. So 2 examples of coach killers. Hi, everyone. Al DeMarco here, and this is going to be your Monday video report. And I've got a number of free selections, including a breakdown of your Broncos Bengals game here in just a moment. Of course, the guy who has the big featured play on that game, the Monday night game, is the guy who delivered for you with the big featured play for the Sunday night game less than 24 hours ago. And that, of course, is Shawn Michaels, the winningest football handicapper here at the site over the past 5 or 6 seasons. $10 bettors making over $32,000. Today, 100-dime AFC line error game of the year on Denver, Cincinnati, the sign. Coming off a 100-dime winner last night on the Seahawks, a play that you got for just $34, which matched his 100-dime NFL teaser winner, number 4 in a row, the previous Sunday on the Colts and the Patriots. 100-dime major wager releases in the NFL alone. Shawn, over the past 5 years, 56 wins, 28 losses, 3 pushes. That ain't too shabby. And today, the 109 play, as he goes for winning day number 128 out of 215, you can save $55 by using his first name, Sean, as your coupon code. By the way, $10 bettors have won a little over $24,000 in all sports over the past 20 months following Sean's betting advice. Brad Wilton, who has his 75-time NFL winner number 4 in a row in the over-under, you can get that for $9 tonight by using his last name as the coupon code, that of course being Wilton. Charity play of the week going early today. I'm putting myself on the line. I am 5-1 with college basketball 15-dime releases so far this season, and the 15-dime play, of course, matches my normal top-rated play in any sport. Just cashed with one on Saturday with Kentucky, 14-point favorite, beating up UCLA by 41 points. I've got another one going tonight. You get it for free by using the coupon code CHARITY, CHARITY. Let's talk about the Broncos game here this evening. You're getting a great price for Denver because everybody thinks that Peyton Manning can't throw the ball anymore and because the Broncos have not been putting a lot of points on the board. But let's not fail to recognize the Broncos haven't been giving up a lot of points either. I believe they have not allowed more than 17 points in each of their last 3 or 4 games. Listen, the Bengals are 4-1 in their last 5. Okay, I'll give you that. Who have they beaten? The 4 wins? I mean, Browns, Bucks, Texans, Saints, all on the road. What did they do in the last home game? Matter of fact, their last 2 home games, they gave up, 24 unanswered points in the fourth quarter and couldn't stop Bell of the Steelers in a 42-21 loss. And they got embarrassed in a Thursday night national televised game to the Browns, 24-3. You know, primetime games in the Bengals mix like oil and water. And when you have Andy Dalton at quarterback, it's even worse. I mean, you know, Dalton is 2-6 in regular season primetime games. And then when you factor in he's 0-3 in the playoffs, in those 9 games, 8 touchdown passes, 14 interceptions, and a quarterback rating of, ready, drum roll please. What, the sound effect machine isn't working today? 63.1%. I mean, other than the 2 times the Bengals beat the Baltimore Ravens this season, do you know they have not beaten a team that has a 500 or better record this year? I mean, in what I call step-up games. They lost to New England, Indianapolis, Pittsburgh by at least 21 points in all 3 of them. Oh, by the way, Tom Brady in the win, his quarterback rating 110.8. Andrew Luck 105.7. Ben Roethlisberger 118.5. So let's not write off Peyton Manning just yet. Peyton Manning over his thigh strain, over the flu, which bothered him last week. Of course, got C.J. Anderson, who's averaging 4.6 yards a carry versus a Cincinnati defense that's allowing 124.8 yards per game. Remember, they couldn't stop the Steelers' Bell when he ran and the Steelers for 193 yards in that comeback win at home in Cincinnati. So I'm going to go with the Broncos, and I'm going to lay the half point as well, since this line is sitting at 3.5. I always either buy up or down the hook if the line crosses 3, 4, 7, and sometimes 10. And FYI, I went 3-0 with my NFL free picks yesterday. Can't beat that. Listen, in college basketball tonight, I'm looking at St. John's, and I'm going, well, I can't say that word, but they owe me one. They owe me one because Friday night, of course, I took them at home as a 10-dime play and watched them come out as flat as pancakes and fall down by, 15 or 18 points at halftime against St. Mary's. Second half, different story, but they rolled to a 6-point win. Problem is they were laying 9 in that game, and that definitely sucks. So I'm going to take St. John's here because I just can't imagine Steve Lavin is going to let this team come out as flat. And I'm sure they've heard it nonstop since Friday that they've got to come out, be more aggressive, and play better at the outset. And they've got a perfectly willing victim in Long Beach State, 3rd straight road game, actually 4th straight road game, and they're 0-3 on their current trip. They're coming off a loss in Austin to the Texas Longhorns on Saturday night. Now, they covered as a 16.5-point dog in that 10-point loss, 78-68, but they got hammered on the boards as Long Beach State was out-rebounded 40-28. Now, St. John's was out-rebounded by St. Mary's on Friday night. But St. Mary's has some big guys. St. Mary's can pound the boards. Not the case here with Cal State, or I'm sorry, with Long Beach State. So I'm going to go with Long Beach State. They're coming off the losses, I said, by 10 at Texas, by 1 to San Diego State, a game in which they blew an 8-point lead with 8.5 minutes to play, and they got killed by 29 points at Stephen F. Austin. So I'll go with St. John's to rebound in this spot. And your final play is in the NBA, where I'm going to take the Bulls minus the number at home. Derrick Rose and Taj Gibson, who have missed the last 2 games, are both expected back here tonight. You know, the Bulls went to Toronto back in November. It was November 13th, and they won 100-93. They held the Raptors in that game to a season worst 39.3% shooting. The Bulls are back home after a 103-97 win at Memphis. They've won 5 of their last 6, including a 3-0 sweep at home, beating the Nets by 25, beating Portland by 9, and the Knicks by 6. But listen, that Knicks game, Gibson and Rose didn't play, so you have to somewhat discount their effort in that particular contest. Yes, the Raptors have won 6 in a row. Who have they beaten? They've beaten the Knicks twice. They've beaten the Pacers. They've beaten the Magic. They've beaten the Nets. They've beaten the Pistons. Any of these teams impress you? I'll lay the points and go with Chicago. That'll do it, guys. Best of luck to you all, and I will catch you again on Tuesday when we do this one more time.